Okay, now first things first, we're going to need to get this chimney starter going to generate the coals that are going to cook the food. All you need is a chimney starter and a plate like this that can possibly protect your patio from any damage or burn from the fire. Fuel, some lump charcoal here. Here I have a hardwood lump charcoal and of course a source of heat. Now I'm going to layer this, but notice I'm going to bowl it up because instead of having it stay tight and compact in the form it's in, there's lots of air pockets in this, and as you know, fire needs oxygen to burn. So I'm going to pile some of this in the bottom, very loosely crumpled up, not tight at all. There are also these little white briquettes that you can use that you can ignite as well, and that will ignite the charcoal, and you don't necessarily need the paper. But this is what I'm doing. So you have some paper in here. You don't even really need that much. Not even a quarter full. I know it looked like a lot, but not even a quarter full, folks. Put it on my plate. Now this may seem like a lot, but by the time it becomes coals, it's actually going to reduce significantly and burn down. So a lot of this is going to be gone. And now we ignite from the bottom. Light this up in a couple spots. This is not doing what I want it to do. Plan B. Alright, it hasn't even been 5 minutes, and look at how the smoke has picked up. Now if you listen, you can actually hear the charcoal starting to burn. So I'm gonna back up, and within a matter of minutes you're gonna see fire flames shooting over the edge, letting you know that things are going exactly as they should. Notice once again, this chimney starter is away from anything that can combust. My protective plate is going to keep my patio from being discolored or burned. And even just as I'm talking, you can see the activity picking up. It's getting louder, more violent. No chemicals, no accelerant to give my food or my charcoal any off odors. Just fire. Alright, the most important part of making coals. Don't forget, you're making coals. As you can see, it's about, the coals right now are about where the newspaper was, and I don't think that's going to be enough for my grill. So I'm going to pour this in the grill, see if it's enough, and then I'm going to make more. Okay, so I let my coals cook down, and I put them on inside the grill. I moved my heat source up and moved the coals a little closer to the grates so that they could get nice and hot for me to start and hopefully get a good sear on it. But I opened it, and lo and behold, these grates are nasty. So you take a grill brush like this and you just want to scrape. Now I did see it was dirty before, but it's always better to clean a grill while it's hot. So that's what I'm simply doing here. You can see the smoke from the grime falling. Okay, now I'm going to attempt to, I didn't bring, typically you would use something like a paper towel and some oil, but let me see if I could sort of sidestep that step. One of the main ones being that if the coals are too hot, the oil can actually set on fire. Okay, so our grill is nice and hot. It was around 400 degrees. I have my steaks here. My grill is cleaned. It's lubricated. Let's make some steak. Okay, so I have some bone-in ribeyes that my husband, beautiful husband, picked up from the butcher. They're gorgeous. And I marinated them in a simple, like a store-bought steak seasoning. Dry marinade. As you can hear, I got a nice healthy sear, a nice sizzle on that. Now, we're gonna leave the steak and not move it for at least 3 minutes in hopes that we can, get some nice grill marks and a nice sear on it. The key is do not move it. Of course you want a dry surface and high heat, but even with both of those things, if you move it, no crust. Okay? Let's check back 3 minutes. Okay. Alright, so it's been about 3 minutes, and I actually forgot something that I wanted to do. So, in an effort to make sure I got that smoky flavor I was looking for, I took some wood chunks and I soaked them in water. The reason I do that is because if this were dry and I put it on these hot coals, it would instantly combust and it would burn, giving me a very acrid, sort of nasty flavor. So let's open it and see what's going on. Okay, we're looking good. What's happening underneath here? Okay, I need to up the ante. Boom. Now, the tricky part is going to be actually getting the wood chips on the fire. This is a long pair of tongs I conveniently had stashed under my grill. I'm going to use this to lift the grate and just hopefully throw one of my wood chips in here, or hopefully I can mastermind this. It's not like this was exactly a well thought out plan. Okay. Got this. Now, I should have mentioned to you before, with the way that I have these coals, come moving a little and see if you can get that. The way I have these coals set up is they're kind of piled higher on this side and not so much and barely any on this side, so that I can sort of control the heat. I can put it on this side for a very quick sear and high heat, and then move it over to the side with less coals for slower cooking and larger cuts and things like that. And I think I see, I'm already getting some smoke from my wood block. And this one looks like it might be ready to be turned. Ooh, and I went 45 degrees. I'm gonna get this one to turn 45 degrees too. This one is actually closer to my side. It has next to no coals. I'm gonna move this one because there's more heat on that side. There we go. Okay, so now that I've talked myself through that, we're gonna leave this for another 3 minutes and then we're gonna turn. Okay, so it's been about 3 minutes and I turned my steaks over. I turned them over a little bit more before 3 minutes because I saw the meat starting to curl, and it looked like it might be cooking a lot more than I wanted it to. And I also moved the heat. I lowered the coals to put more distance between it and the meat. Now, just a note on the smoke. How do you know you got the right smoke? Well, once you have your wood and it's starting to interact with the coals and those changes start to happen, you want to look for that faint, wispy, almost blue smoke. I saw it earlier coming off the coals, but what you don't want is white or gray, thick clouds and smoke, because that means that your wood has set on fire. And the kind of ashy, like bitter, nasty flavor that gives you is extremely undesirable. You don't take something like these gorgeous ribeye steaks and turn it to crap in no time. So that's that. Let's take a look at what we have going on and see where we are. See how it was starting to curl? Yeah. It probably cooked on this side more than I wanted to. Oh, it definitely did. Oh no. Alright, so, being that we've gotten further along than I wanted to, I'm going to do this step right now. I have a clarified butter with some garlic, and I just want to baste the steaks. Now the reason I'm doing this with clarified butter and not regular butter is because regular butter has water in it. And it would be a shame if you got this beautiful color and crust on it and had to chuck it, no pun intended, due to you washed it off and it's water in it. It's just not a good product. I'm going to let some last minute smoke kiss the other side of these steaks. And then I'm going to pull them. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pull them off now because I don't want well done steaks. These are going far enough. So, we pulled it off the heat. I'm going to step back because it's smoky. And we're going to let the meat rest. A very important step. Think of the protein molecules in a steak like little springs. And when you add heat to the meat, it denatures those proteins, or it makes those springs contract and tighten. And when they contract and tighten, they squeeze out liquid, or the water that's within the cell. And that's how you get dry, tough meat. But when you are resting the meat after you cook it, you give those springs or those molecules a little chance to relax, and the water that's actually within the meat gets to redistribute, and that's how you get a juicy, flavorful end product. If I were to cut into that steak right now, all the juice would come rushing out, and then I'd be left with something that was like equivalent to like cardboard, or like with the taste of paper. So we're gonna let that rest. As a general rule of thumb, you want to rest meat about half the time it took to cook it. And then, yeah, and then you have something tasty on your hands. We're gonna take this upstairs, cut into it. Let's go see what we got.